Okay, welcome back. So we're going to be looking in this video about how do you add and subtract matrices, okay? So to add and subtract matrices, just kind of like we do with real numbers, um, I have four matrices here that we're going to be. First, I'm going to find what a plus b is, then I'm going to find what c minus d is, and then we'll look at c plus a. And in order to add matrices, kind of what we think would be the best way of doing it is, well, if I have these two matrices, a and b, so if I'm trying to do a plus b, what would that be? Well, I just would note, first of all, that these two matrices that I'm dealing with are the same size, right? There are 3 rows, okay? 3 rows and 2 columns. 2 columns. So this is a 3 by 2 matrix. This is also a 3 by 2 matrix. And so in order to add matrices, I need the matrices to be the same size because otherwise it's hard to, well, think about adding them. There might be a way that you could define of adding them when they're not the same size, but we're going to say that the matrices need to be the same size to add them. And essentially what we do is to add them, I'm just going to add the corresponding entries to each other, okay? So a plus b is going to be a new matrix, and I'm just going to add the corresponding entries of the other two matrices, okay? So what I'm going to do is at this first coordinate, or this first entry here at the top, well, I'm going to get that by doing this entry, that entry on A, plus this entry on B. Okay, so I'm going to get 1 plus 2, or 2 plus 1, I guess is maybe the more proper way of writing that, because A was first, okay? So I just do 2 plus 1. To get my second entry, I'm just going to go to the corresponding entry on A, so this entry here, and the corresponding entry on B, and add those. Okay, so 0 plus negative 3. And we can simplify these as well. I'm just writing them out so you can see where they came from. Then for the third entry, we do this plus 2. Okay, so 7 plus 2. Okay, keep doing the same thing. Negative 3 plus 0. Okay, 5 plus 1. And then negative 1/2 plus 2. Okay, so when I do this out, I will get a matrix that's the same size as both of these individual matrices, but with just the sums of the entries of these two. So when we simplify this, we get 3, negative 3, 9, negative 3, 6, and then 1/2, so 3/2. Okay, so that would be a plus b. Okay, so you can see adding matrices really isn't too difficult to do. Okay, what I want to look at next is just one more example, except let's do subtraction now. Okay, so instead of adding, let's subtract. So let's say I'm going to do c minus d. Okay, well, what do I do? First, I want to check and make sure my two matrices are the same size. And when I look at it, right, this is 2 rows, 3 columns. So this is a 2 by 3. Okay, this one is a 2 by 3. Okay, so they're the same size, so we can add them together. Okay, or in this case, we're going to be subtracting them. Okay, so what I do is I just create a matrix of the same size as these ones, and I just subtract the entries from each other. So C is 7 minus 6, right? So it would be 7 minus 6, okay, for that first entry. Or in other words, 1, okay? That would be 1. Now for the second, we do 0 minus 8 is negative 8, okay? Negative 3 minus 0 is negative 3. 1 minus 1 is 0, okay? 0 minus negative 6 is positive 6. 5 minus 9 is negative 4, okay? So that's our subtraction of those two matrices, okay? Oops, sorry, let me get this straight, okay? Cool. I'm not sure that's straight. Okay, sure. We'll say that that's straight. So, that would be our matrix there, okay? So, one last thing I want to mention here is, well, let's do just one more thing here, okay? So let's look at what would happen if I try and do C plus A. Okay, so C is this matrix here. A is this matrix here. We normally use capital letters for matrices, by the way. A plus C. Well, A is a 3 by 2 matrix. C is a 2 by 3 matrix. Those are not the same size, right? So this one is not possible to do. Or at least it's not defined. Okay? So, that is how you add matrices. They need to be the same size, and then you just add the corresponding entries to each other. For subtraction, you do a very similar thing. You just subtract the entries from one another. It's a very simple process. So, hopefully that kind of helps with this. This isn't too bad. You'll be able to do some homework problems now.